Hey guys, what's going on? It's Filmington. Gonna make a quick video here, PSA reveal and a little bit of a mail day and some preparation for a future submission. Basically, there's not gonna be a lot of editing today and I apologize for that. So if things look sloppy, that's on me. But I've been super busy with my regular job and I've got a big life change coming up next week. So I just haven't had a lot of time to make content. But tomorrow, Thursday, July 2nd, I am doing a live stream collaboration with Eric Those Back Pages. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, Thursday, July 2nd. So tune into that. That should be really fun. And let's get started with this one. So PSA reveal first, 3 small submissions, all stuff that I submitted probably in December, January, maybe even February. I still have some stuff with PSA that I'm still waiting for that I submitted through a bulk group in November. Kind of weird because they have other submissions that have come back earlier. I'm not sure how common that is, but it happens. All right, so first up, we got Aaron Shunk PSA 10. This is actually left over from a previous submission, and I just forgot to show it. So I've been told this guy's good. This was actually a gift given to me from one of my friends, Raf. So I was able to get the PSA 10. So thanks, Raf, for this. Don't know a whole lot about this guy, but I don't know. I have some of these cards listed up on eBay. Some I'm a little more reticent to sell than others. I got another Aaron Shunk. So these cards are now going to be from my group submission order with Mike O. Check out his channel. He does a really good job. Great asset to the community and to the hobby. Got a PSA 9, wouldn't have submitted this if I thought that it was a 9 candidate, but it happens, guys. Probably overlooked some sort of a surface issue. Next up, we got Jack Flaherty, PSA 10. Love to see that. I think I've got a few more of those, I believe, coming from ComC maybe. I'm still waiting on like a 3-month. It's taken them like 3 months to ship because I didn't select the priority option. Walker Buehler, PSA 10. And, ComC's been hit pretty hard in Washington, so can't fault them completely for that. We got a Arenado, PSA 9. This is one I picked up at the show. It's got a pretty bad surface issue. Sometimes I feel bad, and a lot of it's just out of convenience, I guess. I won't always take the card out of the penny sleeve. A lot of times, the sellers can feel a little bit weird if you do that, especially if you don't ask for their permission. Me as a dealer, I am so used to people doing it, and I haven't had any issues with people damaging cards, so I just kind of let people do it, even if it is like a $500 or $1,000 card raw. But with these paper cards, I spend most of my attention on the centering, then the corners, and then the edges. Sometimes you just assume the surface is good, but when you have a dealer that has a large stock of graded inventory as well, you always got to be careful. So let this one slip by me, but given the prices I paid at the time, it was like the pre-Gary V base card rookie spike. So spending like 15 or 20 on this wasn't going to kill me. Same goes for this one. So another one with a surface issue. This time PSA overlooked it, so very thankful for that. See if I can get that on the, where is it? Somewhere, might be up here. But anyways, yeah, this probably should have been a 9. They're not always going to be perfect, and I'm not going to complain. Big difference in value there, and that's one that I think I paid like 40 total for the Arenado and the Yelich. I might have got something else thrown in. Next up, this is the 150th anniversary, so it's nice to get this in a 10. This was actually thrown in. I bought a vintage stock copy, and he just threw this in. I don't know if he thought it was a regular Arias, or maybe he was just a really nice guy. He gave me the 150th. I saw that it was in good condition. I got the 10, and I just sold it on eBay for a pretty good price. High 60s, I think. There was a comp at 75, and I thought it was a little overpriced, so I went underneath for a quick sale. Next up, we got the second best paper rookie card of Ohtani, the one that came first, but the update one sells for more. Got a video where I talk about how to identify True rookies across flagship, across Chrome brands, and what the hierarchy is in values or perceived value and market valuation across the two. So happy to get those 2 10s. This one, yeah, got the 9, top left corner, maybe even the top right corner. I get it. Devers. I think when I submitted that, the card raw was worth like $1. So, but now, you know, PSA 10 is probably around 60, 65. Same with this one. PSA 9 on this, and I deserved it again. Top left corner. Figured it was worth a shot. But, and actually I've sold this one too. Any of you guys are interested in any of these cards, most of them are for sale. And here's that vintage stock that I purchased where I got the 150th anniversary. This is no surprise to me. But, you know, these cards are tough. They're going to be low pop, numbered to 99, and PSA 9 is okay for that one. Next up, so that was part of an order I did with PC Sports Cards. Submitted that one probably in like March, February, I forget. But this was a cross candidate, BGS 8.5 Auto 9. I believe it had 2 10 subgrades, a 9.5 and an 8 centering. Beckett is, of course, more strict on centering versus PSA. I've talked about that in length in my videos. If you look at their grading scales, which are publicly available, it will disclose that. I feel like centering is the one thing that is always going to be scientific. There's very little subjectivity to it. Surface, edges, and corners, dings, imperfections, they're just not created equally. And they're subject to the perception of the beholder. But this, I thought it looked nice. I always tell people, don't just look at the subgrades, look at the card too. You know, how would you appraise it? How would you grade it? Do the subgrades make sense, or does the overall grade make sense? Is it a strong candidate just based on that, without looking at the professionally assigned grade? So yeah, got the PSA 9, and it might not seem like a big bump, and it's not a huge card, but generally a 9 autograph, even though the autograph still sucks, and clearly it's imperfect, having a 9 autograph on a Beckett card will take down the value 35 to 40%. Of course, an 8.5 versus a 9. An 8.5 will usually sell for closer to an 8. I don't want to go into like linear interpolation, but that's the case. And I have a way of appraising 8.5s usually, and it's usually like a third of the way. You know, if you were to take that distance between an 8 and a 9, it's like 1/3 of the way from an 8 to a 9. That's how an 8.5 is that, you know, it's a general rule, but that's usually where I put it if I can't find a lot of comps or other information. And here is a Laureano autograph. I might have picked this up from the same seller that gave me the Yelich and Arenados, so props to him. Got the 10 on this, and this one I did remove from the penny sleeve, and I saw that it was a worthwhile candidate. This guy was featured in my speculation series. All of that was contingent on performance, and there haven't been any games yet, so I apologize if people are still holding on to Laureano. I still do like him, but he is getting older at this point without games. It's really not good for any unestablished players. And these cards, the next 3, Alico 3, he asked me if I wanted to send a few cards his way. He doesn't usually do it, so don't reach out to him. He doesn't have a bulk service, but we kind of went in together, and I got 3 pretty high-end cards graded. These all were max value $4.99. So I literally took advantage of this for each card. Which one should I show first? Okay, so Seth Beer. I thought this was going to be a 9. I'm really happy with the 10 grade. I would have submitted it to Beckett if I could, but the autograph's streaky. I was afraid of that auto 9. We talked about how that hurts the value. And it is actually a pop 1. It's numbered to 25. It's the orange refractor. He was traded from the Astros. He's now in the D-backs. He struggled at the tail end of last season. His values have taken a hit because of it. I'm sure most minor leaguers aren't, you know, seeing their best of days from a value perspective just because the minor leagues have been canceled and all that stuff. But Seth Beer, Raw, you can get this for probably less than half of what I initially paid when Bowman Chrome came out. Usually I don't go nuts with singles after products released, but this one, and I talked about this in my Bowman Chrome 101 video, the fact that there's no first on here, but it really is his first Bowman Chrome prospect autograph, can confuse a lot of people. I figured it would trip people up and that I could probably buy this lower than what it should sell for and what it will sell for eventually when people realize if he ends up being good, all right, what's Seth Beer's first autograph? Let's go buy that one. Oh, it's this? Wow. Doesn't say first. All right, well, I'm going to spend a lot on it anyways. We've seen that sort of trend with other players like Rafael Devers. But he's actually, now he's still A-ball. He's 23 or 24 years old already. But he should benefit from the universal DH. Being in the National League, that was one of the things I was worried about after the trade. Is he going to be even athletic enough to play decent enough first base to stay in the roster? First base, probably the easiest position to play. And, you know, I'm saying that subjectively, but I used to be a first baseman. I know what it takes. I used to be a third baseman as well. I know what that takes. And it's nice to know that this guy could potentially be a DH. Maybe that means is he'll be able to get called up sooner. He's from LSU. He's got mammoth power. Those numbers don't show it, but he crushed it at LSU. Let's hope that he can rebound a bit. Like I said, he kind of underperformed with the D-backs single A affiliate. Next up, this card picked up Mike Trout Finest Refractor number to 549. Really low pop, even with PSA 9s on this. I think we're looking at like 40-ish. Back then, there was a bias towards Beckett for these high-end cards, even the non-Bowman. This is Topps Finest, it's not Bowman, but a lot of people preferred Beckett back then, so it's probably one of the reasons for the low pop. But another reason is because these cards, even though they're really sharp in the corners, they're prone to surface issues. There were a couple unrelated to each other, so a couple independent surface issues, and one is almost affecting the edge up here. The other one's just kind of line right here. And I would not have been shocked at all if this was an 8.5. So I'm very happy. I'm very thankful for the 9. Picked it up at a show, and I want to say like December for $400. Trout prices were low. They seemed undervalued to me, and they ended up being undervalued. And COVID and the stoppage of play has helped Trout's values relative to the field, because, and I've talked about this before, diminishing returns guys. We already know what Trout is. We don't really know a whole lot about some of these other guys. You know, are they going to put up Hall of Fame worthy resumes? Are they going to break records, reach milestones? Maybe we know that about Pujols. Maybe we know that about Kershaw and Max Scherzer and a few others. And we know that about Mike Trout. Most players under the age of 30, we're not going to know that. We're not going to have that assurance. We need to see those extra games. We want to see those stat boxes filled up even more with those guys to see if they can differentiate themselves from the field. Oh man, this is so shiny. Hopefully I didn't give you guys a headache. Sweet card, listed up on eBay just because I think there's a comp at around 1,600. Next up, and this one I actually just sold, I think, last night. Needed to make room for some new stuff in the collection. Trying to move away from the youth. Talked about some of my allocation strategies because of, you know, the stoppage of play, killing the minor leagues this season. Well, in more than one way, and just overall, just trying to play it a little bit safer. Looking at, you know, my risk management and trying to move into safer assets, whether that be non-current players or current players like Trout that are just more established. So that is the reason why I got rid of Arias. And this is a PSA 10 Pop 5, another orange refractor, first Bowman. I really wish I had a little bit of allocation of Arias left, but something had to give. And at this point, I've got some of the cards I showed today. I've got a few autographs, Topps Chrome updates coming back from PSA. But I'm really excited to see what this guy can do, if he can develop power. A lot of people think there's going to be a 400 hitter this year. People have asked me if Arias is capable. In 60 games, guys, you know, maybe Bellinger did it last year, maybe, but I don't think that's a normal occurrence. I don't expect there to be a 400 hitter. If there is a guy that leads the league in hitting, you know, I think it could be Arias. I think it could be Jeff McNeil. We're talking a different league there. I think about names like Rafael Devers, DJ LeMahieu. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of two. Christian Yelich, maybe. Juan Soto, I think eventually will get up there. Alex Bregman has been climbing in batting average. Yeah, I don't think Tim Anderson's going to hit like 300 plus this year, but who knows. So sad to see this one go. That's Arias. All right, so that's it for PSA. Now, I have picked up some stuff in the mail that I figured, whatever, I'll show off in this video. I might not be able to make another one for a few days or a week or something, or a week and a half, I don't know. First of all, we got, so these are some cards that I am submitting to SGC. I'm submitting some stuff to PSA as well. I don't have that here with me, but I'll try to walk that through. A lot of the same cards. Topps Tiffany, traded. Beautiful card, PSA 9, cracked it out, decided to crack it out. This one's going SGC. Trying for that 9.5. It's got some surface stuff going on that I underestimated before I took it out. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes back as an SGC 9 or lower. Otherwise, this is a clean card, guys. Ichiro's prices have been going up. Talking about his Topps rookie in particular. So I picked up a lot of these. I just feel like some people just underestimate how tough it is to get these cards in decent condition, even if they're not perfect, even if they're off-centered a little bit, to have minimal edge wear where the corners are okay. Of course, if you're to open this box today, you're probably going to experience double sticking on each side, double glossy surfaces. That's what happens, you know, and Topps learned from that and probably didn't do it again really afterwards. But these are going to go to SGC and not PSA. Reasoning for that is PSA has such a low 9 percentage, and there's so many that have been submitted. I think we're looking at like 2% in 9s. It almost reminded me a little bit of the SPG to rookie. I just don't think any of these are worthy of a 9 with like PSA standards, maybe, especially if they're a little bit tougher on that card like they are with the Jeter rookie, I'm assuming. So I'm going to try for the SGC 9. You know, maybe I'll have a better chance at the 8.5 versus the PSA 8.5 because I assume that PSA is pretty tough for those 8.5s too. PSA doesn't give out maybe as many, and maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but PSA doesn't seem to give out as many 8.5s as BGS and SGC would. Maybe that's partially because that was newly introduced as a grade within the last 10 years, right? So it's just something that they reserve for rare circumstances, maybe. But an 8.5 would be a pretty nice grade for this card. And you can see that with comps. 9s and PSA are selling for mid 200s, I think. You'll see them go for probably 270, 280. I actually picked up this one because speaking of 2% pop, with Beckett, I think the 9.5 is about a 2% pop. So really low on this one. I picked this up for $350. Figured PSA 9s are going for close to the 300. Why not pick this up for $350? Auction listing, the minimum bid was set to $350, and I always love that when they set the minimum bid at a high price. That kind of scares away a lot of people from watching, but where I still think it's a relatively good deal at that price. I still think it's a discount. It's just higher than the normal initial minimum bid that most people would use. I try to list mine at like, I don't know, 5 to 20% of what I think the final value would be like, because I don't want to run into that issue. I want a lot of people watching my listing. I want a lot of people having the intention of trying to win and setting snipes and all that stuff. So yeah, and this is a pretty nice one, you know, minimum BGS 9.5, but still tough to find this card in this grade. And Ichiro is another one of those guys that's just a little bit safer than some of the other guys I had in my collection before. Some other cards that are going to SGC. Wander 2019 Bowman Chrome. And, you know, I talked about in a video, it was like a live stream that I uploaded. I talked about Bowman and my thoughts on that as a product and how I was approaching that from a singles perspective, and that I wasn't really targeting many of the singles because I like to target previous products that are overshadowed by the newest and the hottest. In most cases, in a lot of cases, I'll say that those single prices will be overinflated because there's a lot of attention on the product. There's not a lot that has been opened relative to the amount of demand there is for those players. High demand for the players, low supply available. That mismatch just tends to bode well for high market prices and the potential for those to tilt downwards in the weeks or months to come. But these are all first edition. So while Bowman came out, and I think, what did Mojo retail boxes come out like a week or two later, which seemed like really close together, much closer than usual. So while people are retail hoarding and doing box breaks of that and hunting their favorite first prospects and parallels and those products, that's when I went back to what I first considered maybe partially like somewhat of a quasi gimmick product, but just looking at the first edition equivalents of the first Bowman Chrome cards and seeing how much more they were selling for. So these are paper, still selling for more than the Bowman first Chrome. Dominguez, Witt, all the players it was the case for. It wasn't even really close. Of course, Dominguez started around 250 in first edition, probably came back down to around like 100 at this point. So I'm always playing the arbitrage game, market inefficiency game. I'm comparing what first autographs are going for from the 2020 Bowman product across Witt, Poisson, and Dominguez. I'm doing the multipliers, and I'm trying to find out or try to determine for my own purposes which one is cheap in first edition. So I looked at those multipliers. It seemed to me that like Witt was a decent buying opportunity, maybe relative to Dominguez. Maybe they're both going to be good. Population or print run on first edition is right around, I want to say like 12,000, I think. Could be wrong on that, but that's way less than first Bowman paper. That's way less than first Bowman Chrome. So, and I was watching a video and they were talking about how like this isn't the first time Topps has done first edition. They did it with LeBron James. Given that's not a prospect, that was his true rookie card, and that is LeBron James. But those cards that were printed less are selling for more today, I believe. That's what I heard. All right, so Bobby Witt, these ones are again going to SGC. I've got plenty of these also going to PSA, and some didn't make the cut. I'll show you those later. And Poisson, I also picked up. I thought he was cheaper. So like 18 to 20 for Witt, maybe like 12 for Poisson. I don't know what they're selling for now. At the time, I thought they're a pretty good deal. John Diaz, a guy I talked about in my recent Bowman upload that I did, live stream upload. He was one of the few prospects that I thought like, oh, maybe he's actually decent. He's undervalued. He's got a really refined approach. He was the guy that I believe the Yankees first wanted to get, but they ran out of cap space. Maybe they wanted him second, but they couldn't afford him after Dominguez. Doesn't mean he's better. He's not better. He's probably not going to be better. He's a little bit undersized. A lot of people think that, best case scenario, he could be the Ozzie Albies type, plus defender, quick hands. I think he can hit the ball to all fields, and one of the highest baseball IQs of all of Dominican, I believe. That's where he's from. So this is the sky blue, not numbered parallel. And I got really lucky because at first glance, I haven't put these in top in card savers yet, but I think I might just send them all. With foil cards, edge issues, guys. Very, very common. So if I have minor edge issues, I might just submit it anyways. I'm expecting a low PSA 10 pop with this. This is actually going to SGC though, I think. So I have to think about that. But all those other cards are going to PSA. I'm a little bit worried about these more unknown players. If they end up bombing in their careers, having to deal with that and having to deal with it not being everybody's favorite slab that it's in, being able to resell that could be a little bit more difficult. So I'm always trying to think about liquidity. And these ones are going to SGC. Picked up a lot. GMA 10s, guys. So always like to look at these in person. And like, okay, so this one might actually be a PSA 10. And I got these for like 16 bucks each. So the way I saw it, all I need is one, ideally two, to turn into PSA 10s and kind of make the money back. Of course, there's grading fees, but I'm not going to be sending all of them. And I can resell the GMAs for close to what I paid, about 16. So a couple of those definitely have a shot. This one, top right corner, probably not. I did a video, check it out. You'll have to search deep through the archives, but I talked about the truth of independent card grading companies, specifically focused on GMA and BCCG, and what I thought about those, if they made sense from a buying standpoint, a slabbing standpoint, what the use cases were and how they compared. Yeah, top right on this one isn't good. So, but, you know, 2 or 3 of these I might actually submit to SGC and hope for, yeah, this one, top right corner, hope for a 9.5 plus. You know, that's a nice thing about SGC. You don't get that 10 grade if you miss. You're probably gonna get caught at that 9.5 for a modern grade in most cases. Some cases you get the 9, but with PSA 10, sure, they're gonna sell for the most, but you don't get that 10. You're getting a lot more 9s than you would SGC 9s because of that with modern cards. And sometimes that can be fine. And you know, like I said, PSA 9s are nothing to sniff at. Case and point here. And all right, one more thing. A bunch of cards that did not, sorry about that, did not make the cut. Yep, picked up a, so in total it was probably close to 25 wits I picked up. And like I said, I submitted some to PSA. Those are going to be through PC Sports Cards. John Diaz, really bad lower corners on this. I don't know, for some reason I couldn't see that in the picture. That's okay, got a good price on it. Yeah, so I don't usually pick up Mojos, and I didn't intend to, but I was able to buy a lot for my friend, and a lot of these are soft-centered. And Wander Franco, this one's hopeless. Picked up a lot of Otanis, and these ones, this was from a friend who gave them to me for pretty cheap. I think I paid like $4 per. He said he had already picked them through for grading, and I think I had showed 3 already that I thought could maybe make the cut that he glossed over, or he didn't think were worth it. But those ones, definitely not 10s, probably not even 9.5s with SVC. All right, guys, so that is it for today's episode. Again, I'm going live tomorrow night. That is 8 o'clock Eastern time, Thursday, July 2nd. Live collaboration with Eric, Those Back Pages. It should be a fun time. Eric is a great asset to the community, to the hobby, knows a ton. I rely on his expertise a lot, and I think we're going to have a great conversation. All right, guys, that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. Thank you for joining today, and Filmington is out. Take care, guys.